Hey, hey, what's happening out there in YouTube land? It's Saturday. You know what that means. Time for another jam-packed episode of ABW Detonate right here on YouTube. I am the old school AB, joined once again by the Bard of the Boiler Room, the Deacon of Distressity, the Pontiff of Pain himself, one and only, Kind Man. Kind Man, how the hell are you today, my friend?
I am doing fabulous. It's a bit warm down here in the northern.
Yeah, it looks like it.
You know, the seasons change, the steam gets a little hotter, but
Yeah.
you know what? It's like my own personal little sauna.
Yeah. Most people don't wear t-shirts into saunas, but you make a brave choice, my friend.
Well, it's for the audience. they don't need to see me shirtless.
In more ways than one, right, huh? Yeah.
I aim to please.
That's right. Well, today is going to be a little bit of a different episode. We're going to do a reversey on you guys today. As usual, I would do the preamble and cover some of the weekly topics that I'd like to talk about. But instead, I'm going to turn that over to Kind Man today, and we're going to do a closer on the episode today with my personal top 5 worst gimmicks of all time. And that should prove to be quite spicy, I'm sure. So, without further ado,
very controversial, I'm sure.
I'm sure it'll be controversial. Yeah, I have no doubt that it will be. But, you know, therein lies the fun of doing a podcast, which, by the way, I always tell people, you know, look, if you disagree with anything we have to say, or you want to discuss anything you have to say with us, please, by all means, hit us up in the comments or join us on Discord. The link is always in the description below. Thank you guys so much for checking us out. We really appreciate it. Now, with that having been said, I will turn this thing over to Mr. Kind Man, who is going to show us the light this week. Kind Man, what do you got for us, buddy?
So I have a six-pack of plunder for everyone.
Pack of plunder.
And no kendo sticks. These are all real dangerous takes.
Right on.
Things I've seen in the last few weeks since our last episode that I thought deserved being called out.
Right on.
First of all, as I was reviewing all of our, I was going back to our research staff and the whole team here at ABW Detonate that we have that puts this all together.
Our crack research staff.
Yeah, and I asked them for kind of the breakdown of where our listeners are around the world and,
right.
Where we have subscribers and, we only probably have, I think I heard only like 11 subscribers from Lyon, France. But my first order of business is to just give a shout out to Lyon, France. Because that fucking crowd was goosebump worthy.
Yeah.
Like they showed out.
They killed it.
Like they were so good, and them singing the songs of Cody, Randy Orton, whatever, like to the point where the wrestlers would look out after the music stopped playing, but they kept the song going.
Yeah.
The look in the wrestlers' eyes it wasn't an act. It was wow.
Yeah.
Like they really, really showed out.
Yeah, they did.
And you could do a lot of stereotypes about French people and things like that, but these guys and Lyon is not necessarily a blue collar part of France.
Yeah.
I speak French. I'm very well versed in France and French and it's not exactly where you would think would be the WWE crowd,
right?
That you would see at Tuskegee, Alabama, or whatever. Not
Tuskegee, Alabama. What's Tuskegee, Alabama ever done to you, man?
No, I'm just saying that group was so passionate and so excited.
Yeah.
I just give them my number one, beer in the 6-pack. Like, guys, fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And some of the speak French, just hearing, blah, like as they're doing the count, it was fucking awesome. I loved it. I thought it was fabulous. It was, and the beauty of it, not a great pay-per-view.
Sure.
So thank you, Leon, for making it interesting.
Yeah.
There's one reason why I didn't, as a fighting champion, put this on the line at Backlash, is because there was no need to.
Right. Yeah.
We would both pick the same 6 matches, the same 6 ways, and it would have been the most boring thing in wrestling.
Yeah.
A draw.
A draw. Nobody likes a draw.
No.
If people start chanting 5 more minutes, and I'm like, we can't do it.
Yeah, that's like when I hear, like, when I first started watching AEW and I heard with a 20-minute time limit. I'm like, oh my God, what is that? I haven't heard that since I was a kid.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Lyon, France, my number 1 beer in my 6-pack.
Very cool.
Very
cool. Very cool. And I agree. I thought that crowd was phenomenal. I think it's a perfect example of what happens when you give people a product that they're starving for. The last time I remember televised WWE from France was on Primetime Wrestling. They did a set of Primetime Wrestling tapings from France. This was just after, actually, funny story, that actually kind of ties into my worst gimmicks of all time coming up. But
don't give any spoilers here.
I'm not going to give any spoilers, but this was shortly after One Man Gang transformed into Akeem, which we were discussing actually on our Discord server. So if you happen to hop on our Discord server, you'll be able to join in that fun, folks. But
you'll always be surprised at what we're talking about there.
Right. But no, I mean, so what they announced him as, he came out dancing like Akeem, but the French crowd still addressed him like One Man Gang. And in fact, they had ring girls that held signs up as they're walking them to the ring that said One Man Gang on it. And he was clearly Akeem at that point. So yeah, it's like somebody didn't get the memo over there. But, it's the French people were absolutely starving for a product. They got it. I'm so glad they did. They were phenomenal. They were phenomenal.
Just nothing bad to say about. I mean, just absolute goosebumps when you're watching a premium live event that the outcome of every single match, and it's basically indisputable. You're not expecting any curveballs, anything. There was just no match there that you could even make a case for a curveball, right? Yeah. And they kept me in it. Just the crowd.
Oh yeah.
Because what I was thinking was, the next match, okay, what is the entrance song? Like, how are they going to react? How are they going to interact with that entrance song?
Yeah.
And it was fabulous. So that's my number 1.
Nice pick.
And I'm going to give AEW equal billing here throughout this top 6. There's going to be 3 WWE and 3 AEW.
Nice.
AEW, and I know you've been hard on them recently, but you've also been very pro AEW this time. I'm going to give them a bit of a hard time on my number 2 beer here.
Okay.
And I'm going to give you some examples of how the WWE does it better than what they did in this case.
Sure.
All right. So when the WWE crowns a new champion, when Becky Lynch wins the title, when Cody wins the title, when somebody big wins the title, you know what the next show is led by? That champion.
Yeah.
They're given their flowers.
Yeah.
Okay. You know what AEW's show after Swerve Strickland won the title was led by? The Young Bucks versus the Best Friends. Okay. That show had a TBS championship match. It had the main event as Mox doing the IWGP thing.
Right.
And Mox has not led the show. He ended the show. And Swerve Strickland really didn't get his flowers. And I thought AEW did him a massive disservice in just the way they structured that show.
Yeah. You won't get a hot take from me. I agree with that 100%.
You can't have the Young Bucks and Trent Beretta leading the show after Swerve Strickland wins the title. It just can't happen.
Yeah. The dumb clucks. I mean, the Young Bucks. Fucking God, the Young Bucks suck. And not in
Oh,
a good way, like a heel heat, like a go away heat. Like I just want them to go away.
there's nothing good.
No.
And I love me some heels.
Yeah.
Love them.
Yeah. Sure. But they're not heels. They're
There's
dorks.
nothing. There's no personality. There's
Right.
no allure. There's no hatred.
No.
Like I don't even hate them.
No.
I just hate watching them.
Yeah. They're dorks.
Like, yeah, they're just not good.
Right.
They're bad at what they do.
You know, people, you're going to, that's a hot take. You're going to offend a lot of people on the internet who just call the Young Bucks bad at what they do. We might actually get some hate for that, but that's funny.
Well, that's fine.
That's fine to do that. Yeah. Yeah. Which I don't dispute that in some ways.
There are very few people I say bring nothing to the table.
Yeah.
And I just, other than them being, it's like a fake Vince and Shane thing from years ago.
Right.
Like the guys that no one likes that are in charge, that are narcissistic, but they don't do it as well as Vince and Shane did. Like it's like back then I was like I hate Vince as like a person, as like in real world, but in WWE world, like behind the scenes, I didn't like him. All that stuff, like everything he did from a business perspective, I didn't necessarily like him. Yeah. But as a character, there were times I loved Vincent.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just don't see the character of the Young Bucks being overly intriguing.
No. You know who else was good?
Number two.
You know who else was good? Was Eric Bischoff. People don't give him credit, but he was really good.
Absolutely. I thought Bischoff was great.
Yeah.
I thought Bischoff was great. But that's my, and by the way, that was a very close second to my number one beer. That almost, just their lack of giving Swerve Strickland his flowers almost was my number one beer but Leon just showed out. So
yeah, nice.
So my number three, I'm going to give a comparison of two WWE current wrestlers that I feel are just really the exact same thing.
Okay.
They're the exact same thing in completely different contexts and worlds. There are two wrestlers in factions that play the exact same role in the faction. They bring the exact same value to the faction. And it's nothing. Okay. And I'm going to compare these two wrestlers, Dakota Kai and JD McDonough.
Yeah.
They are there just to eat the pin of the good people in the factions that are taking on somebody else. Yeah. So Dakota Kai will face whoever's stepping up to Asuka or whoever's stepping up to, and they're just sent out there. And I really thought of this the other day when Damian Priest said to JD McDonough, he said, "You need to take care of Braun Strowman." And right away when I heard that, all I did was laugh.
Yeah.
And I just said, what does JD McDonough and Dakota Kai do? And this stemmed from something on our Discord server too, where we were talking about the all-time wrestlers with the worst winning percentages.
Yeah.
Like SD Special Delivery Jones, Iron Mike Sharp. Like who was sent out there to lose? And Dakota Kai and JD McDonough are absolutely the Spider-Man meme pointing at each other.
Yeah.
They actually are.
Well, so that's an absolutely accurate take, and I'll disclose something to you. It's not just those guys, right? It's across the board, really. If you think about it, look at the Blackpool Combat Club, consisting of a couple of legit main eventers, a mid-card guy, and a jobber, right? I mean, let's be honest. Wheeler Yuta is only in the Blackpool Combat Club to eat pins. Well, not lately because he's been injured, but think about it like that. And I think a lot of these stables that are out today follow that pattern. You've got one or two main event guys, you've got a mid-card person, and then you've got a jobber, one there to eat the pins. And if you look almost universally across the board, like that's just my observation. I could be totally wrong. But
No, I think you're right, but I think in this case, it just really jumped
oh
out to me.
yeah.
Don't spoil an upcoming beer by talking about mid-card people.
Okay, well I won't spoil any more
Like,
beers. Yeah. Sorry about that, pal.
no. So number, what am I, 4? Yeah.
Yes, we
Number
are, sir.
4,
Yes.
I'm gonna go back to AEW. And I'm gonna give this my number 4 beer is my quote of the week.
Okay.
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 And if I'm going to give a quote of the week, a microphone quote of the week, AB, I will give you one guess, and it's from AEW. Who do you think landed? And you don't have to know the quote, but just when you think of the people and who are on the microphone, who do you think landed my quote of the week based on what you know I like about AEW wrestling?
Tony Storm.
You are correct, my friend.
Ding, ding, ding.
And what she said to Serena Deeb, the professor or whatever they call her.
Yeah.
Everything you've been through, Serena, I can honestly say I don't give a solitary shit.
That was pretty good. I do
And
remember
and
that.
I
Yeah.
thought that I just all of a sudden just laughed.
Yeah.
Like just very seldom. There are very few wrestlers that just actually make me really just belly laugh.
Yeah.
Like just the way she said it, because she tends to present herself as so prim and proper, but then just throws the end in.
Right. She'll throw these jabs. Yeah.
The solitary, I don't give a solitary shit
Yeah.
what you've been through in your life after she gave this big diatribe about, what she's been through and how much she's fought to get back there.
Right.
And I thought that was fabulous. And I think, once again, I will reiterate, Tony Storm is a wonderful character.
And by the way, she could be up against a better opponent than Serena Deeb. Serena Deeb is awesome. Serena Deeb will indeed make Tony Storm look like $1 million and vice versa. So that is going to be a fucking phenomenal match to watch. I don't know if I'm not committed yet to watching Double or Nothing, but based on what was that?
You will be.
I will be.
We're going to
Okay.
talk about Double or Nothing.
Okay. Okay. Well, maybe we'll see then. But no, and it's funny because I say that, and I haven't even made the announcement yet. But this is maybe as best a place as any. I'm actually going to be in the crowd for AEW Collision on June 8th here in the Council Tucky area. So, by the way, we call Council Bluffs Council Tucky because it's the world's largest trailer park. But that's like the
second largest, Lyon, France.
Lyon, France. There you go, Lyon, France, the largest trailer park in the world. Trailer park capital of the United States.
Yeah.
No, but I jest, right? It's one of those fun jest poke that we have because Council Bluffs is on the Iowa side and Omaha's on the Nebraska side, so we all always jab each other.
Okay, so you're going over to the other side?
Yeah,
To go to
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm going to the Iowa side. It's still only like a 10-minute drive from where I'm at, I think, but still, it is what it is. So, anyways, I didn't mean to interrupt your thing. I'm sorry, buddy.
No, I want listen, I talk when you give your things.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
I'm not quiet until my top 5 list. So that's the number 4. The number 5 is a callback to a couple minutes ago. It just never seems to disappoint. I mean, you can just set your watch at 8:50 p.m. Eastern time. Cue Jey Uso's music.
Yeah.
Like once again, I can't get my arms around the main event Jey Uso nickname.
Yeah. No, I'm with you on it. 100%. That was the dumbest thing they did.
Always mid-event Jey Uso.
Yeah, mid-card Jey Uso.
Mid-event Jey Uso. It is. You could set your watch by it.
Yeah.
If you're looking at your watch and it's 8:46 and it's that commercial.
Yeah.
I guarantee the first thing you hear when it gets back to live Raw is Jay's music, and you hear the yeet, and you see Pat McAfee standing on the thing, and fighters and whatever.
Yeah.
But could we just I have no problem with Jey Uso.
No, I don't either.
I think he's great.
So do I.
But just the main event nickname,
Right.
it's gotta go
Yeah.
until you make him the main event.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like when he's going for the title, he's still not the main event because it's the second to last on the paper, the premium live event. It's
Yeah.
okay.
I
So
agree.
mid event, Jey Uso
Words matter.
is my number 5. Absolutely. And number 6, and we can get into this list that I am very excited for, because when I started looking into this and thinking back to my years of worst gimmicks, I am thrilled to hear your list because it's fascinating, and I love what you
Yeah.
picked.
All right.
My number 6 and my last one, this one snuck in the door. I actually thought it might get knocked out, but SmackDown last night was not all that interesting. So
Sure.
I didn't have a new number 6. But I will say this, and I don't love him by any stretch of the imagination. We're going back to AEW here. But is it possible that Don Callis might be the only person in the world that can make Orange Cassidy interesting?
What the fuck?
No, I'm just asking that my number 6 is that question.
You want me to answer that?
You can try to answer it.
Oh my God.
I'm throwing it out there.
Oh.
I find Orange Cassidy as part of the Don Callis family more interesting than I found him prior.
Oh, that's an interesting take. I would say that for sure. I don't know if I ever find him interesting, but that's just me.
Okay, no, I said more interesting. I didn't
Well,
say
okay, I'm more interesting.
I'm just saying, like, does this shift actually give his character some personality? Not him himself, but does having a mouthpiece like that advance the character?
Yeah, I
And
want to
by
say
the way,
no.
I'm not saying yes.
Right.
I'm saying I think it's a valid question to ask.
Sure. And I would say to that the answer to your last question is no. And the reason for that is because for whatever it's worth, Orange Cassidy's whole gimmick is that he's, too cool for school, right?
Right.
So if he has a mouthpiece that's speaking on behalf of him, how is that individual going to relate any more to Orange Cassidy's fans than Orange Cassidy already can himself? And especially the fact that Don Callis is a heel manager, take that into consideration. Orange Cassidy is a face. And in order to make them pair up, you would almost have to have Don Callis telling or manipulating Orange Cassidy into what to do. And once you do that, you completely destroy his gimmick. Because Orange Cassidy should not be fucking, for whatever it's worth, should not be, toyed with that way. Because he wouldn't stand for it.
You just gave me the surprise chef emoji.
Oh,
the mind blown, because you just completely flipped that on me and made it just like, really, you're absolutely right. Because if he's controlling him, it's the exact opposite.
Yeah.
Of who Orange Cassidy is.
Yeah. So I don't see that ending in anything but peril for the Don Callis family, and especially Don Callis himself. But that's just where I, see it.
I think your take is more accurate. I was just saying that when I watched that interaction, I said, oh boy, is this going to be the moment where I actually enjoy Orange Cassidy? And I wasn't sure, and I still don't think this is the case.
Yeah.
But I'm just looking for something different to quote unquote get Orange Cassidy, and haven't found it yet. And I was just wondering if a loud jerk mouthpiece could be that bridge, that safe bridge over to entertainment.
Well, I suppose. I mean, look, there's a way to do it.
I think you're closer on the right path than I am.
But I mean, if you think about it, there's a way to do it. I mean, if you really want to get creative about this thing, you could use that as a vehicle to turn Orange Cassidy heel. Now, I'd never fathomed that thought because I don't think Orange Cassidy works as a heel, but maybe
Right.
there's something you could do to kind of tweak him a little bit to kind of get him to go on that side, motivate him somehow. But
Well, how many long-term wrestlers,
yeah,
long-term successful wrestlers never did both? There's very few.
yeah, very few. Sting, well, even Sting had a couple of times as a heel turn, but I mean, they were so short.
I'm just trying to think in my head.
Yeah.
Rey Mysterio? That it?
Uh, you might be right.
That's the only person that ever comes to mind that,
Yeah.
in my head, and I know there are some, and by the way, put them in the comments, put them in our Discord.
Yeah.
Who is someone that was always a face or always a heel? The
Yeah.
only one that pops in my head is Rey Mysterio. Now, as you said, there are some that had very limited stints,
Yeah. Yeah.
going the other direction.
Yeah.
But I can't think of many that towed the line on one side. They're in longevity wise, like people that were around for.
Ed
I don't know.
Leslie.
Was Shawn Michaels ever a bad guy?
Oh,
Like a
yeah.
real bad guy? Like DX was not
Well,
a
he
bad.
kicked his tag team partner's head through the barbershop window.
Yeah, that is true. That is true.
He betrayed his Rockers pal. He's a bad guy.
Yeah, but
Then he started
is he
sleeping
really
with Sherry
holding against
Martel.
anyone that smashes Marty Jannetty's head through glass? I don't think that needs to be frowned upon
Well,
necessarily.
well. I
I
mean, be
mean,
that as it
him getting
may.
out of the Rockers. I mean, we can't make a really good case for that being a bad thing for Shawn Michaels. The
Yeah.
way things went
Well, it was presented as though he was the heel. So,
yes,
that notwithstanding, I agree.
yeah. No, I'm just trying to think. Rey
Yeah.
Mysterio is the only one that just immediately pops in.
Yeah, it's hard for me to think, and that's why I was trying to think. I mean, I'm trying to search through my mental index. Maybe Bullet Bob Armstrong, but that's
I would think there has to be some people that were bad their whole career. Heels their whole career.
See, and I was trying to think about that too, and I would almost want to say Bruiser Brody would almost fit that bill. Same with Stan Hansen, but I mean, it just depends on how they were presented, because sometimes they came in and they didn't behave any differently, but the fans liked them, the fans cheered them,
Right.
depending on where they were territorially. So could I say that Bruiser Brody was always a heel? Sure. Could I say that it always worked? No.
Yeah.
As far as like being a babyface, the only one I could think of that's always been a babyface aside from Rey Mysterio was Bullet Bob Armstrong. I don't think the guy was ever, and that's Road Dogg's dad.
Oh, I got you. I got one.
Oh.
Cena's never been a bad guy.
Oh, Cena. Yeah, I don't think he's ever been a heel either. Even when he was prototype, I don't think he was ever heel then.
Yeah, even his initial stages.
Yeah,
he was always a face. Even when it was.
Yeah.
Even when he just wore like a shamrock in his tights and like that.
Yeah.
No, he's never been bad.
No.
So Cena and Mysterio are the only two that come to mind for me.
Right. That's insane.
But I would think that there's a better chance of bad guys staying heels longer. But the only two I can think of are good guys.
I'm thinking about it. I mean, and this is going back again. I'm just in my way back machine. Vern Gagne was always a babyface. From what I remember, Nick Bockwinkel, who was one of the greatest wrestlers who never gets his due these days.
What name?
Nick Bockwinkel. Oh my God, Nick Bockwinkel was amazing. He was like Ric Flair, only, dare I say, better than Ric Flair. He did a Ric Flair better than Ric Flair did. In my humble opinion, Nick Bockwinkel was absolutely the greatest. I mean, Bobby Heenan was his manager, for God's sakes. You know, he
Nick
was absolutely the greatest fucking heel champion I ever saw.
Really?
Yes. In
Oh, I
fact,
gotta
you've
look
given
him
me
up.
a thing. When we do our next old school review, we're watching an AWA show so you could see what Nick Bockwinkel was like in the
Oh,
ring.
by the way, just based on the name, I have to look him.
Nick
So,
Bockwinkel. You know, even Baron von Raschke turned into a babyface later on in his career, but you know, I mean, shit.
was
Um,
Iron Sheik ever a good guy?
I don't think so.
I
I
don't think
don't think
Volkov
so.
and Sheik
Yeah.
ever.
Well, Volkov, I think, did. Volkov turned face for a brief time in the late
Okay.
80s, no, early 90s. He turned face because he was from Lithuania when Lithuania uh, left the USSR. So,
By the way, there's a difference between being popular and being a heel or a face, because there
oh,
were
I
times
agree.
Sheik was very popular,
I agree.
but he was still a heel.
Yeah. And that's why I said, you know, certain guys, Abdullah the Butcher, always a heel, you know,
Yeah.
Bruiser Brody, again, he didn't change the way he was anywhere he went. He was always a heel. Whether he got cheered or not, it's a different story. But
I don't I don't think King Kong Bundy was ever a
no,
face.
yeah, I don't think King Kong Bundy was ever a face.
Yeah.
Um,
So we're brainstorming here,
yeah,
but
yeah, yeah. We could probably talk about this
feel
all
free to hit
day.
us up with more of them,
Right,
because
I know.
we're doing this in real time. This wasn't part of the agenda.
Right. We're just having fun at this point. But but no, I think those are fantastic. Top six, your six pack. The Kind Man
Yeah.
six pack of the week. We may have to do that more
Six-pack
often.
of
I'd like your
wonder.
six pack of wonder. I like that a lot. So thank you for that. And I think without further ado, I'm going to turn this into the AB top 5 worst gimmicks of all time. Now, I want to say that these, look, there's a lot of terrible gimmicks out there over the years, you know, and this is my personal top 5, right? And there are a ton to go through, right? I mean, I could go through them all. Fantasio, the Magical Mime, Mantar, Duke the Dumpster Drosy, Arachnaman, the Goon, Lasertron, Bastion Booger. You know, the list goes on and on and on, you know, and each and every one of you out there could probably list 10 more off the top of your head. Shark, for God's sakes. The Booty Man, who was Ed Leslie, who was, you know, Brutus the Barber Beefcake. He was the Booty Man, folks.
That's what they used to call me in college.
Really? Well, we just learned something new about Mr. Kindman today. But no, just a bunch of terrible. Look, I've already said it. Akeem, terrible gimmick. Dr. Isaac Yankton, DDS. You know, Kane.
Oh, I had him written down. Oh, I had that one written down.
Did you? Okay, yeah.
I almost referenced him earlier in the never was a face conversation, but I
Right.
didn't think he deserved it because he wasn't around long enough.
Right. Yeah. No, he probably didn't. But I mean, he eventually turned into, you know, Kane. But who Kane did eventually have, you know, a face turn or two, I think.
Oh, sure.
But yeah. But anyways, we're getting sidetracked again. The top 5 list, and this is going to be maybe a hot take, and maybe it won't be a hot take, but this is my personal top 5. And if you disagree with anything, you know, just let me know. It's not a definitive list. Let me know in the comments, or disagree with my picks. Hit me up on Discord and tell me why I suck. This first one, there's a lot of reasons you could tell me I suck, folks.
By the way, I got told in the comments on YouTube by a quote unquote listener,
Right.
when I did my top 5 microphone wrestlers of all time, if Ric Flair wasn't number 1, you know, you're trash or something like that. And my only response was like, listen to the fucking episode, dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because actually Ric Flair was my number 1. But
Yeah.
like,
Well, maybe he was typing it as he was listening.
yeah, don't comment before you listen. Listen, then comment.
Yeah. I don't have a problem with that either way. If you want to comment as you listen,
Oh no, sure.
comment as you listen. But, you know, if
Sure,
you
but
have
don't
like,
call me don't call our list trash if you haven't heard our list.
right. Right. There you go.
That's probably not a good idea.
He's a kind man, folks. He's not a bad guy. He's a kind man. By the way, it's funny because, like you said it before, I look like the baby face. I'm all well lit. You know, I got everything going. You're in the boiler room with a mask on. You look like the heel. Meanwhile, I'm actually the bad guy and you're the good guy. But
I
I
don't think you're the
digress.
bad guy.
You don't think I'm the bad guy?
I think I'm more of the heel than you are.
Really? Okay.
Oh no, I think you're the guy that when the intro music hits, everyone fucking cheers. And you're like, I think you're
uh,
like Cody Rhodes. Like when
I am.
you know,
See,
with me, it's like you don't even know what to think. Like it's like, uh-oh, what's gonna happen now?
right. That's
Like when my mic opens, like everyone's like, okay, what's he gonna say?
well. That's why we work
With,
together
with,
so
with
well.
you, it's just hands in the air and screaming and singing the song. No,
Yeah.
I don't think you're the heel at all.
Okay. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. But you're not a heel to me. That's why we work so well together. I think
I think
it's the
I'm very much.
juxtaposition.
I think there's a person who has an inverted name to mine that I am very similar to in my role in the show.
Yeah, I would say that. Yeah, I would agree with that. The have a nice days and all that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Fucking
yeah.
A.
And I can be
Anywho,
good. I can be bad. I could be really nasty. I could
that's
be.
right.
I could be really fun.
He has a
And
barbed wire
I'm
baseball
not.
bat,
And
folks.
I'm not afraid to take a hit.
That's right. He's got a barbed wire baseball bat, folks, and he's not afraid to use it. All right. Top 5 worst gimmicks of all time as picked by yours truly, the AB. At number 5, it hurts my heart because I love this wrestler. I think he's one of the more talented wrestlers on this list. And it upsets me because his gimmick was, and it was his idea. And I understand why he did it. You know, he wanted to get on television to wrestle. And it was the only way he could do it because they looked at him like he was just basically this bland idiot. And that was not the case. But it's Eugene. Nick Dinsmore, who was the character Eugene. At the time, I thought it was borderline insensitive. And that's at the time. I mean, by today's standards, it's downright offensive. I every time he came to the ring, every time I heard his music, every time something, I just cringed, you know, and look, the guy did it to the best of his ability. He did I hate to say that he did a good job, but I mean, what are you supposed to say to something like that? You know, he was a great wrestler. He should not have had to endure that part of, I mean, I get that part of pro wrestling is supposed to be a suspension of disbelief, and that was too far of a reach for me. It was just in poor taste. It was too far of a reach. I get that he was supposed to be mostly a comedy wrestler, but it was just never funny to me. And you think about the individual who allowed that to go on television and gave and fed ideas into that. You know, I mean, obviously they made him the butt of a lot of jokes, so DX pranks and things like that.
Yeah.
And look, you know, Katie Vick was a better angle than anything that, you know, he was in, and that's another bad angle. And by the way, there's a difference, folks. There's a difference between bad angles and bad gimmicks, right? And I want to make that distinction between the two. Like Katie Vick was a bad angle, right? That was, you know, Kane, you know, basically playing mind games with, you know, or I'm sorry, Triple H playing mind games with Kane, you know, because Kane supposedly had a car wreck with his girlfriend, Katie Vick, at the time, who burned to death. You know, it was a whole big nasty thing. We won't cover that, but what an absolute shit show. But yeah, they even tried putting Eugene with William Regal at one point to give him some legitimacy, and that just nothing ever worked with him. I don't think he ever really caught on. Yeah, what a terrible, terrible gimmick.
Yeah, I can't disagree with you there. Like that's in your main point is there are just things that at the time work or don't work. Like you're
Yeah.
saying, it didn't even work at the time, but there are things where there's some things you just think about and you say, hey, let's put that to today.
Yeah.
Like, let's throw All in the Family on Sunday night,
Right?
on ABC right now. Like,
Boy,
doesn't work.
no.
Doesn't work.
Yeah.
And there are things of those that when you watch it, you cringe,
Hmm.
but also when you watch it through the lens of modern society, you cringe even more.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's for that reason. By the way, this was number 5. Number 6, and I had to defend my decision because this was almost interchangeable in some ways, but Eugene won out. But I was going to put Sergeant Slaughter Turncoat, American Turncoat, American Traitor. Because if you
Yeah.
tried to do that today, holy sheep shit. Like, he got death
Yeah.
threats to Sergeant Slaughter even back in the day for what he did. Think about
Right.
what would happen today if he did some shit like that.
Yeah.
Good Christ. But I could because, Eugene hits a lot closer, in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Just
Oh,
ridiculous.
and to a very specific audience.
Yes. Yes, it does.
You know what I mean? Like
I do know what you
there are
mean.
people that think that's funny,
Right.
and then there are people that have lived it
Yeah.
that are completely and totally offended. And how is that gamble worth it?
Yeah. It's not.
Whether it's
It's
back
not.
then or today.
Yeah. It's not.
Today you just get crushed by everybody.
Yeah.
But back then you'd get crushed by the people it offended.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's what the difference is. Today, it's everyone, one
Yeah.
man gang crushing you.
The one man gang.
Yeah, I'm going back to the one man gang. One man gang
Uh,
crushing you for anything insensitive. Back then, it would be the people that dealt with that, the people that had, family members that, were, there's words that we used back then that you don't use today,
yeah. Yeah.
you know?
Mm-hmm. I know what they are, and I ain't saying them.
Yeah, no, neither am I.
Now, let's move on.
Because it's not, I might have said them in 1982 in junior high, but I'm not saying them now.
Yeah, no. Let's move on, shall we? So that's my number 5. Now we can get to some of the more lighter things on the list. And, it's just going to be, again, maybe controversial, but this is my list, damn it. At number 4, the Disco Inferno.
Okay.
Right? Now, there's a lot of different reasons for this, right? But I need to ask a question. Who thinks to themselves, you know what? I'm going to be a wrestler, and I'm going to create a gimmick that came from one of the arguably worst musical eras of the Golden Age, and I'll even dress up like that guy from Saturday Night Fever, and I'll come to the ring and I'll dance badly. You know who says that? Gilbert Gilbretti, that's who. The brainchild of this moron. This gimmick wasn't so much offensive as it was just lame. It might have worked if Disco could put any sort of charisma behind what he was doing, but he was just terrible. He was apparently born without a personality. I remember when we reviewed the pay-per-view for WCW, the Bash at the Beach, where you made specific comment that he was just absolutely terrible on the mic. Do you know they gave this guy more microphone time than he should have been given for real? They actually made him the TV champion at one point. They made it because he couldn't wrestle. I mean, every time he got into the ring, it looked like, and you could see it when you watched the match, it looked like he was counting his steps and practicing his things, timing it out in his head as he was going. There was no fluidity to what he did at all. I mean, look, I know Conan, likes him for whatever reason, and that's great, but, what a shitty gimmick. And what a dork. Nobody liked him backstage either. Go figure. Yeah. Couldn't cut a promo, wasn't great in the ring. Most of the time he looked like he was counting his steps, trying to remember what he was doing next, and then and that wasn't part of his gimmick, it was just the way he was. And of course,
Maybe it was.
Well, maybe it was, right? Right. Oh, there actually was a piece where they gave him a gimmick where he was trying to do like a submission hold, but he could never figure out how to apply it. Like that was a part of the joke that they gave him because he was so terrible. What's another? Oh, they gave him Stone Cold's finisher when Stone Cold was popular with the stunner. they gave Disco Inferno that finisher, I guess as a stab or a joke. You know, like, look, even our worst lowly guy can deliver the stunner and everybody kicks out of it, you know? So yeah, terrible gimmick, just worth nothing in WCW. I'm sure the boys would agree. He was a stinker, and he had very, very little value, added very little value, if any value at all. So, Disco Inferno, number 4.
Right.
Now, number 3, and this is going to be somewhat obvious. Not a lot offends me, not a lot gets me. But this was something that offended me on 2 completely separate levels. On both a pro wrestling level and a rock and roll level. Now, you can look behind me and you can see everything adorned here. I am a huge Kiss fan. So when WCW announced they were going to give us the Kiss Demon as a professional wrestler, and that this would be one of 4 Kiss wrestlers that would eventually come out, I was intrigued. I was like, if they do it right, it could be pretty cool. And then they debuted him, and it was a flop. Oh my dear God, where to stop? One would think that I love it, but I don't. It was so hokey and so over the top that it offended me. It did. It offended me as a wrestling fan, and it offended me as a Kiss fan, even though, and Kiss themselves did not look pleased to be there. They're out there lip syncing God of Thunder with this huge sarcophagus on stage with them. And as soon as they're done playing the song, the sarcophagus opens and out comes Bryan Adams, dressed as Kiss, dressed as the demon, Gene Simmons from Kiss. And do you know who Bryan Adams is? He was Crush in WWE, that big giant son of a bitch.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So they had him put on Kiss makeup, and he came out of the sarcophagus and he was like, yeah, badass. And the crowd went, yeah, that's awesome. And even Tony Schiavone was like, fuck, I can't salvage that. You know, it was crazy. It was terrible. And of course, you know, because it was such a big money deal between Simmons and Kiss and WCW at the time, that part of the gig was that this demon wrestler was owed at least one main event wrestling match on a major event, on a major pay-per-view event.
Holy shit. So he's got one more than Jey Uso, is what you're saying.
Well, not quite, because here's what they did. It was so bad. They actually had him wrestle again against another guy, Vampiro, I think, another guy in face paint. Go figure. But they had him wrestle Vampiro, who is a Mexican vampire wrestler. He's awesome. I love Vampiro, don't get me wrong, but you know, Vampiro wasn't going to burn the house down with Dale Torborg, who actually took this thing over from Bryan Adams, Crush, who was arguably a better wrestler than Dale Torborg. But that's neither here nor there. But no, they made him wrestle a special main event match against the Vampiro, and they call it like a demon's cage match or something like that. And they made it stupid, and it was hokey. And eventually we never saw the Kiss Demon ever again. And thank God for that, because it was too terrible to watch for any length of time. I don't know how people did it.
So I never saw the Demon in WCW, but I can tell you this, the Demon did become a part of my life, because when we were, you know, me and AB met as part of an alliance in a mobile game, and we used to, you know, through the alliance, we had a great relationship with everybody, and we used to just send each other gifts and like different things, because we knew what they were interested in. And I found this awesome figure company that did action figures, and I saw a wrestler that was in Kiss outfit, and I just knew it was for AB. And I don't remember how I did it, but I remember reaching out to you and just like probing, like, and you just said, "Oh my God, are you talking about the Demon? That fucking asshole!" Like, just it was funny, because I was gonna send him a action figure of the Demon, thinking I was doing like the all-time greatest thing, combining his wrestling love with Kiss. And when he started telling me the story of the Demon, I was so glad I didn't spend that $29.99.
Well, you know, the funny thing is, like, actually nowadays, I would actually think that's pretty funny, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, at the time, boy, I did not. I was embarrassed. I was embarrassed to be a Kiss fan, and I was embarrassed to be a wrestling fan. So that's a double whammy. That's why it gets number 3. Now, if you think about that, there are 2 other gimmicks that I think are worse than that, right? And so 2 other things that offend me as a pro wrestling fan worse than a Kiss wrestler.
Boy.
And yeah, number 2 is going to be something that I think everybody knows, and everybody, look, if you don't know what it is now, you know, I'll give you a tagline. You've ruled the world long enough, Sid Vicious. I'm talking one about the Shockmaster, Shocky himself, the worst gimmick. And by the way, I think he gets more popularized because of his introduction, you know, the way he crashed through the set of Flair for the Gold. But if you stripped even that away from the fact of what he was and what he was supposed to be and what he turned into, it's a terrible, terrible gimmick that did not last, thank God. So everyone knows this. You know, if you're listening to the sound of my voice, you've never seen the Shockmaster, pause this video and then come back and then finish up with us here, because it's almost required viewing. Yeah, the funniest thing to me about that video, by the way, is Davey Boy Smith. You can hear him in the background going, "He fell flat in his arse. He fell flat in his arse." You know, and it cracks me up every time I hear that shit. But yeah, Shocky's debut notwithstanding, it's important to note that the original gimmick and what came after it are completely different yet equally bad things. Shocky was turned into, you guessed it, a clumsy truck driver. Gee, I wonder why. Because he looks like a clumsy truck driver. And it's amazing how that never got over. I think they went from calling him Shockmaster to Uncle Fred.
Oh.
And yeah,
it seems like a seamless transition.
Right. You know, who would have thunk that? But yeah, and then of course he was phased out very, very quickly because for whatever reason, Uncle Fred never really caught on. Go think, you know, figure that one, a clumsy oaf of a wrestler. And of course, it's not like WCW didn't know what to do with big guys like that. Here's the real crime. Do you remember a wrestler in WWE called Bastion Booger?
Sure.
Okay. So he actually started in WCW, and his gimmick was, at least initially, Norman the Lunatic, Mark Singh. And he played the part of an escaped, you know, mental patient. Yeah. And his manager, Teddy Long, had a set of keys that he would jingle it was almost like the Undertaker's urn. That would get him to come around and be like, okay, he's going to lock me back up if I don't cooperate with what he wants me to do, you know. And it was just, what a fabulous gimmick. He did it fabulously. He played it. There was one interview where he had a trash can and he's just looking, and Teddy Long is talking, and he's picking up the trash can over here, putting it on his head and going, boo, and making it spin on his head while Teddy Long is talking. He just loony, just out there, just crazy. Not in a Abdullah the Butcher sort of way, but just in a just organic, just whatever the hell way. He played it perfectly. But, you know, they couldn't get a big guy over. Vader, another WCW big guy that they got over big time. You know, WCW knew how to do big guys, and for whatever reason, you know, they just dropped the ball with Shockmaster, which is sad because, you know, he was a big name in WWE as Typhoon, as Tugboat, whatever you wanted to call him. And, you know, at the time, John Tenta, who was also Shark in WCW, was there at the time. They could have put him back as a tag team, for God's sakes. But what do I know?
By the way, on mine probably would have been Tugboat.
Tugboat.
Not because of how bad Tugboat was, but how much better Typhoon was.
Oh yeah. Yeah, Typhoon was much better than Tugboat, wasn't it? Yeah. Tugboat. Yeah. But yeah, no. So yeah, Shocky is number 2. What a terrible, terrible gimmick. And this one hurts my heart because this is a WCW gimmick, and thankfully it was over. It was only around once, but it was around once too many, once too often. And they had a lot of vignettes on it. So to set the table a little bit, WCW had this stable called the Dungeon of Doom. Excuse me. And it was led by the nefarious Taskmaster Kevin Sullivan, who had a group of cronies, so to speak, under his employ. Also, he was being led by this evil King Ikea, who was this evil demon. Like, he had a throne, like a stone throne, and there was like dry ice floating out of it and everything. It was pretty weird, even for this day. This is a Dusty Rhodes creation, by the way. But no, and he had the Booty Man, aka the Zodiac, under his employ. He brainwashed the Booty Man and turned him into Zodiac, and all Zodiac could say was yes or no. He had the Giant under his employ. Jimmy Hart was their manager in the Dungeon of Doom for whatever reason. But they had the Giant. That was Paul White back in the day, when he was first a very young rookie. And the match was supposed to be Hulk Hogan versus, the Giant. And they kept teasing that there was a surprise coming. There's a surprise. It was kind of like the egg from Survivor Series, where they would, tease the gobbledygooker, which almost made the list too. That's another bad gimmick. No, and there was this frozen block of ice, and everybody wondered what it could be, like a caveman. You would expect it to be a caveman, wouldn't you? Yeah, but no. The block thawed, and out popped a Yeti.
Okay.
And this Yeti was a 7-foot tall mummy that had no body hair, that just had his head bandaged up with wraps, and his whole body was wrapped up and bandaged like it came from a CVS pharmacy, right? Just an old gauze bandage. But it was just him slowly lumbering to the ring, right? By the time he gets into the ring, the ref has been knocked out. The Giant has Hulk Hogan at his mercy, and they perform the most dastardly maneuver in all of pro wrestling, the deadliest, dreaded tandem bear hug, where both the Giant and this ginormous 7-foot Yeti smash Hulk Hogan between them in a sandwich-like fashion, crushing him and defeating Hulk Hogan and Hulkamania forever. The end.
No, Hulkamania was never Hulkamania died at
Right.
Survivor Series.
Yeah.
When the Undertaker tombstoned him.
Yeah.
3 inches from the mat.
Yeah, right. I mean, my God, nothing screams world caliber athletes trained in mat wrestling techniques like a 7-foot tall frozen fucking mummy. I mean, Jesus Christ. This really insulted my intelligence as a wrestling fan, right? It made wrestling look phony and hokey and stupid and embarrassing, and I was never more embarrassed to be a wrestling fan. Never more embarrassed to be a wrestling fan when I saw that shit, because I was really expecting, something at the time to be better than what I got. And instead I got a fucking Yeti. A fucking Yeti.
Yeti.
That hugged Hulk Hogan.
Yeti.
Yeah. That hugged, and then he went forever off into he was supposed to be a wrestler at that point, was the Yeti. He was supposed to be like, oh my God, he's going to run roughshod over the entire company. And then next week, crickets. You know why? Because it sucked. Anyways, that's my top 5 terrible gimmicks of all time. Probably a hot take. Some of you may agree, some of you may disagree. Kai Man, what's your most despised gimmick of all time?
Well, most despised and worst are 2 different things.
Okay,
I think you hit.
What's your worst?
You hit on some things as far as like really offensive.
Yeah.
Versus bad.
Yeah.
Some things I wrote down very quickly when I heard you give this. I wrote down Red Rooster. I wrote down Gilbert.
Yep.
I wrote down Dr. Isaac Yankem.
Yep.
I wrote down multiple iterations of Dustin Rhodes. 7 uh,
Seven.
Black Rain,
Black Rain.
things like
Oh,
that.
I forgot
But
about that.
the one I'll call out right now, and this will be my number one, because no one will remember it. You probably won't even remember it. Um, it's just worth looking up. I don't think it would have been my number one, but I'm going to make it my top for you guys to look up. And it's once again, it goes back to your original conversation around offensive,
Yeah.
around um, just stereotypes and what you could get away with back then versus what you could get away with today. And I am not necessarily offended by stereotypes because I believe a lot of times stereotypes are the reason why they're stereotypes is because there's a lot of it,
Yeah.
right? It doesn't make it right. It doesn't make it that you should promote it, but at the same time, there's
Oh yeah.
some accuracy to it. But there was a faction in the WWE years ago called the Mexicools.
Oh yes.
Okay.
Oh
It was a
yeah.
bunch of Mexican wrestlers that rode out to the ring on a riding lawnmower. Okay. Say that fucking out loud.
Yeah.
Look that up.
No, they yeah, I remember that.
That is just plain awful gimmick.
I was
Like,
dating a Spanish teacher at the time.
yeah.
And she spoke fluent Spanish. And when she was over at my house, we were watching the debut of the Mexicools, and she thought that was freaking hilarious. She thought that was the funniest thing she'd ever
No,
seen.
I think, by the way, if you watch the clips, you can't not laugh.
Yeah, no.
Okay. But to say it was a successful gimmick is a completely different conversation.
Oh yeah. No, don't
It
doubt
can be
about it.
funny, but it's not a good gimmick.
No.
Like they were out there on a fucking riding lawnmower to the ring dressed as fucking landscapers.
Yeah.
Like oh God, just awful.
Yeah.
Just brutal.
Very
So
brutal
that's
indeed.
that's my one I'll throw in there because I know a lot of our audiences does not remember that. Look it
Yeah.
up. It's brutal.
Yeah. By the
Not a
way,
good.
kind man, you're going to be hard pressed to come up with something that I don't remember.
Yeah, I know. I thought I'd get you on that one. I
No,
really did.
no, no,
I
no,
thought I'd get you on the Mexicools.
no, no. Most major things, like I'm pretty
Well,
sure
but
I'm
but I
up with
thought
that. But
maybe that was in the range where you had tuned out WWE.
no,
That's
no, that was in 2005, 2006, 2007.
okay. So it was a little longer ago than I
Yeah,
thought.
yeah. It was a long ago. I am missing about 4 years worth of WWE recently here.
Okay, so you only have
But yeah,
four. Okay,
yeah,
that's not bad.
yeah. But and I don't know if I'll go back. And maybe one of I talked about us doing like a retro pay-per-view for AWA, which we will do that too. But I'd like to do one of those pay-per-views that maybe I missed. So maybe if you have a suggestion for one that,
You're gonna give me the if you give me the date range, I'll find.
okay, okay, that'll be a good one. Anyways, we're talking shop on the air here. We're talking about
Yeah.
our planning and whatnot. But that's how we feel about all you guys out there. That's how much we appreciate you because we let you in on our back channel talk. Oh boy, here we go. I know Mr. Kindman has an announcement to make, but I'm sure it has to do with the ABW Championship title.
Well, yeah, because I mean, listen, the original plan was that this would be just defended at SummerSlam, the prediction World
Mhm.
Heavyweight Championship. But I am a fighting champion. I am not, I don't wait for the world's biggest pay-per-views. I don't wait for, the grandest stage of them all just to put this on the line. I consider myself someone that wants to put it on the line when someone wants to try to take it from me. I didn't put this on the line at Backlash from something I said earlier, as I knew we would pick the same 6 winners, and I knew the same 6 winners would win. And the pay-per-view was largely boring outside of
The crowd,
Leon
yeah.
fans. Then I decided that I wanted to put it on the line at King and Queen of the Ring because I felt King and Queen of the Ring always has curveballs. It always has surprise endings. It always has everything. So I thought it was worthy of it. And then I started thinking, King and Queen of the Ring is not big enough for me to put my title on the line. So I changed my mind. And how I changed my mind is I said, I want to make this next title defense bigger than anything. And how I do that is a 2-night event.
Oh.
A WWE NXT crossover title match where we do King and Queen of the Ring and Double or Nothing.
Oh, boy. Winner take all, huh?
Saturday, Sunday.
Are they on the same
weekend?
Same weekend? Oh, my Jeebus.
So we are doing a Saturday, Sunday combined like a WrestleMania style, because this is not worthy of just one pay-per-view. This is 2 pay-per-views. And I've been telling you forever I want to get AEW involved in this, although that may be to my detriment. I don't care because I'm a fighting champion. And it's going to be a 2-night event.
A 2-night event. So how are we going to do the show for that?
Well, we'll do the show on Saturday morning and or Saturday, early afternoon or whatever, like we normally do. And just like we did for WrestleMania. It's the same thing as WrestleMania.
Okay. Yeah. I guess so. Yeah, we can plug it out there beforehand, do our previews and all that stuff. And then, yeah.
So 2-night.
I dig it. 2-night event.
Premium live event.
Wow. All right.
Combined prediction over 2 platforms.
Wow. Over 2 brands.
For this.
Wow. Well, I'll tell you what.
That's how I make it big.
That's how you make it big, huh? Well, I'll tell you what. I accept your challenge. And I'm going to let you know right now that you don't stand a snowball's chance in hell of retaining that title.
I have put myself a little bit in peril here because there are going to be matches on that AEW card. I don't even know who they are. So that I've put myself in a tough spot, and I admit that.
Yeah.
But I'll come strong.
I'm sure you will. And
the problem is some of the AEW stuff, like I just learned the other day that there was like AEW show on a night I didn't even realize it was on.
Yeah.
Like, so there are some people I haven't even watched.
Oh, you talking about Rampage?
Well, when's Rampage on?
Usually it's on Friday nights at 9.
I never watch Rampage.
That's on right after SmackDown.
Very seldomly watch Saturday night.
Yeah, okay.
I always watch Wednesday night. Wednesday night, I'm all in.
Yeah.
Okay, Friday and Saturday, I very seldomly watch. So there are people all of a sudden that pop up that I'm just like, okay, who's that? I don't know.
Yeah.
So I might have to do some internet homework just to get a sense of the storyline for some of these ones. But also, I also know now, leading up to this, that I have another 2 or 3 weeks before this happens, that I might need to lock in a little more.
Yeah.
Because I put myself in a really tough spot. This is like me putting myself like in a triple threat match instead of, just head to head.
Yeah.
Now I'm fighting the AB and I'm fighting AEW that I don't even know who the fuck they are. So there's like an AEW challenger, there's AB, and there's me, and I don't even need to get pinned to lose my title.
That's right. What you're really saying is you've got a 33 1/3% chance of losing.
No, I got a very small percentage chance of losing because I will defend. I just don't mind putting myself in these tough spots.
There you go. You are indeed the man then. I will give that to you. I will give that to you. But I'll let you know this. I don't fight fair.
Well, no, I don't expect anyone.
I'm teasing. I'm teasing.
If I fought fair, I'd just say, hey, fucking sit tight until April 5th or August 5th.
August.
Until SummerSlam. You can sit there and they could look at that stupid alien with no fucking title around his neck.
I know. Roger is he's cold. He needs a neck warmer.
I can't wait that long.
All righty then. Well, having said that, is there anything else we need to cover or discuss this week?
I think we've covered a lot of ground today.
I think so. I think we've done a hell of a show today. I really enjoy what we put out. I think this is a really good one. And we want to thank all of you for taking the time to be with us today. Don't be a jabroni. Drop an elbow on that subscribe button. And if you're feeling saucy, frog splash over to that little thumbs up emojicon. We would really appreciate it. And don't forget to share our channel with other people you think might show. It might help us grow, and it helps you feel good about doing something nice for your fellow man. Once again, thank you all so much. We'll see you all right here next time. So long, everybody.